Hey everyone, it's me again, and I have come to you with a kind of different video. First of all, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Faith Grenade and I make makeup videos here on YouTube. See that subscribe button? Just hit it. Just make it happen for me. This time I'm not going to be talking about makeup, I'm going to be talking about skincare because my skin in the last couple of months has pulled a complete 180. My skin type has changed, my skincare needs have changed, and I am going to be talking about all that stuff and everything that happened and how it happened in hopes that it will help one of you guys who might be dealing with a similar situation. Basically what ended up happening is I went to the doctor before I left on my trip to the States, and I went for my acne again because a lot of you know I used to have really bad cystic acne. Mostly in my kind of jaw contour area on this side of my face. I had, cysts, really deep set, painful cystic acne that would appear here, and it had been going on for about 1.5 years and it had only gotten worse with time. It went from being like 1 or 2 pimples every couple weeks or so to like about 1.5 weeks before my period would start, I would get just breakout, like 6 to 8 cystic pimples happening in the course of a few days. They were so painful, nothing I tried worked. I tried everything from tea tree oil to salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, anything over the counter, anything like that. I tried drinking apple cider vinegar diluted in water like for a month. I tried everything and nothing was working and it was driving me insane. So I went to the doctor again because I had gone to the doctor for this before, and my normal primary care doctor prescribed me minocycline but made sure to tell me how minor my acne was and how I really shouldn't be going to the doctor for this aesthetic problem. And I'm like, people like you are the reason people like me have issues. Acne, believe it or not, is a very serious problem and it can be very uncomfortable and painful to deal with. So don't let your doctor talk you out of getting treated for acne. Stand up for yourself, because it's how I got a treatment that ended up working for me. I went again, and I went to see a different doctor this time. He measured my blood pressure and he said, "Your blood pressure is really high for a 26-year-old. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really feel any symptoms, but my blood pressure was really high. And he looked at the birth control I was on and he said, "Oh, I really don't like this birth control at all. Everyone that every patient that I talk to who uses it always has a ton of side effects. And one of the possible side effects of birth control is cystic acne. And high blood pressure." So he changed my birth control pill to the lowest hormone pill that can still be prescribed and be an effective birth control method. He changed that and he gave me prescription strength benzoyl peroxide cream that also had an antibiotic in it, although I'm blanking on the antibiotic's name. I'll put it down here in a little text caption if I can remember the name. He gave me that in like a combo pot cream thing, and he also gave me tretinoin gel, which is retin A, which is the hard stuff. That stuff is intense, and I was happy. I was so happy that I was finally getting listened to and that my acne issues were finally going to be addressed in an aggressive way. I was ready. I was so ready to do this, and he wanted me to wash my face 3 times a day with Lever 2000, which I later found out is a bar soap. And he claimed it was one of the most gentle soaps on the market, but I was like, bar soaps aren't gentle. And it sort of surprised me because generally speaking, dermatologists will sort of tell you that 2 of the things you should never do if you want to avoid getting acne are using bar soap because it's a bacteria magnet and it's got waxes in it that can clog your pores, and use any moisturizer or cream that comes in a pot. And those are 2 things that he gave me to use. So I started doing this regimen and I kept to it like a champ. I washed my face 3 times a day, applied the BPO cream combo thing twice a day, and then put on my tretinoin gel at night. Now, after 3 days of using the tretinoin mixed with this BPO stuff, I knew there were gonna be side effects. I knew that was gonna happen. it's Retin-A. Retin-A has tons of side effects, including, a light redness of the skin and dryness of the skin, because Retin-A is basically accelerated vitamin A. It's a large dose of vitamin A that causes your skin to regenerate faster, so you've constantly got this fresh new layer of skin on your face. And that can create some problems. It makes you more sensitive to sunlight, it makes you, very, very dry and flaky, and it turns you a little bit red. I was prepared for that. What I was not prepared for was that. I'll just put a picture right here of what my face looked like. It was so bad. And I knew the uglies were coming, but I didn't expect my redness to be that bad. And redness I can deal with, it makes you look kind of like a freak of nature, but I was like, whatever, I don't really care. But it was the burning. Any skincare product I put on, whether it was prescribed to me or not, burned like a motherfucker. And I attribute it to using the benzoyl peroxide with the Retin-A, which I used it in the way my doctor told me to, which is safe and shouldn't cause additional irritation, but when you're using a prescription benzoyl peroxide and glycerin don't get along very well. And what is in every skincare product for dry skin under the sun? Glycerin, because it attracts moisture. It keeps your skin moist. So here I was trying to wear my sunscreen every day, like my doctor told me to, like a good little, recovering acne person. And the sunscreen would burn to the point where I almost passed out because it had glycerin in it, and the glycerin and the BPO were not getting along. And between that and my skin being as red and new and easily irritated as it was, it just wasn't happening. I went back to the doctor. I was like, dude, something's gotta give because I'm about to go on vacation. I can't, go on vacation where I'm going to be performing and where I'm going to have to wear makeup. I can't go on that vacation with this stuff going on. It just can't happen. His prediction, he kind of figured that it was just I started too hard too early, and that this particular regimen was probably a little bit too aggressive, especially since I've never had a chemical peel, I've never had microdermabrasion or anything like that. My skin was not used to having all this stuff be done to it, so he had me stop the Retin-A. My skin did clear up for the most part in a few days, but it was very dry after that. It was extremely dry because I was still using the benzoyl peroxide. So my skin went from being combo with an oily area around my nose to being incredibly dry. I'm talking flakes. I'm talking like I would, take my sleeve of my black hoodie, rub it on my forehead, and you could see like dandruff falling off of my face. Like, it was bad. And so I ended up having to change my entire skincare routine because I went from having like sort of kind of oily skin to being bone dry, like overnight. I had no idea what to do. I've never had dry skin before in my entire life, so I had to do a complete overhaul of my skincare and really focus on the most gentle, nourishing, moisturizing products I could find. And I have those here with me that I'm going to show you, and most of them are from CeraVe. CeraVe is a drugstore brand, although it is a little bit expensive on the drugstore spectrum. Most of their products range in price from $11 to about $16, but that's still pretty cheap for skincare. I mean, I went to the high-end skincare sections of some stores and, oh man, I was seeing creams that were like hundreds of dollars, and I was like, man, is this really something I want to deal with? But luckily, CeraVe came to the rescue. I have been using this regimen for about a month now, and my skin has completely normalized, thank goodness. It is not dry, nor is it really that oily. I do get oily in some spots now that I'm back in Japan, but it's not dry anymore. It's not itching or burning anymore. It's felt very hydrated, very taken care of, and I attribute that in large part to the skincare regimen that I have adopted here. So I'm going to show you these products, I'm going to talk a little bit about them, and I'm going to talk about my acne and how it kind of is doing right now. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So first, for cleansing, day and night, I use the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser for normal to dry skin. This is the one in the green type bottle here. It's specifically the one for normal to dry skin. I like this a lot because it doesn't foam. It's sulfate free. It doesn't have, well, for those of you who don't know, sulfates are ingredients in products that cause them to bubble or to create a lather. And sulfates can dry your skin out terribly. So I cut out anything that formed a lather and I went to this because it is sulfate free, it is super gentle, it doesn't create that satisfying lather that a lot of people are into, but it was so much more gentle on my skin, and that was something that I really needed after using all those harsh bar soaps and chemicals and prescription drugs. I just needed something that would take care of my skin. It is non-comedogenic, which means it's not going to clog your pores. It's non-drying, non-irritating. I have experienced all of that. It has MVE delivery technology, which is micro-delivery technology, with ceramides and hyaluronic acid. Ceramides are very, very good skincare little buggers that, when used in skincare on a regular basis, can improve the texture and moisture retention of your skin. And hyaluronic acid is an excellent anti-aging ingredient. It really kind of plumps up your face. It encourages collagen production in the layers of your skin. So it's going to plump you up and make you nice and moist and wonderful. I do really enjoy this stuff. I use it twice daily, once in the morning and once at night. Massage it into my face gently with my fingertips and rinse with warm water. Usually during the day, I will use a daytime moisturizer with SPF, because guys, I know you've heard this before from dermatologists and estheticians, and you're gonna hear it from me too. Daily SPF. Like, nothing will age you faster than rays from the sun, whether it is winter, whether it is summer, whether it is, like overcast. Those rays are still beating down on your skin and they're still causing aging. So you need to be wearing an SPF of at least 30 every single day, especially if your skin is sensitive like mine has now become. And the one I ended up going with is the CeraVe Facial Moisturizing Lotion, the AM one, because they have a PM one. This is an AM one. And this is for normal to dry skin. It has broad spectrum sunscreen SPF 30 in it. It has 5 different sunscreen ingredients in it. It has homosalate, meridimate, octinoxate, which I have heard of before, that's a chemical sunscreen, octocrylene, and zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is a manual sunscreen. So you've got manual sunscreens which provide a physical barrier. Some people also call them physical sunscreens. And then you have chemical sunscreens which provide, a barrier within the skin. And ideally you would be wanting to use both. This has both of those things in it, so it's going to protect you from UVA and UVB rays. This stuff has some serious sun protection in it. It comes highly recommended by Paula's Choice as well. It provides patented controlled release of ingredients to help repair and restore your skin's natural protective barrier. And again, non-comedogenic, non-irritating, with ceramides, niacinamide, and hyaluronic acid. Are you noticing a pattern here? Again, with those ceramides and niacinamide. Niacinamide is actually also in some makeup products, and it is very, very good for your skin. Again, it helps encourage collagen production, create that barrier of protection, building up the layers of your skin and creating that barrier to protect it from the elements, from pollution, from things like that. So this I've found works very, very effectively. It protects my skin from the sun. I put this on my face and neck in the morning. And then in the evening, I wash with my cleanser again, and every now and again, I don't use this every night, but I will use it from time to time. It's the CeraVe Skin Renewing Cream Serum. I saw Emily from Emily Noel 83 talk about this, and she loved it, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up. It's a serum, but it's a cream serum, which kind of intrigued me because most serums are kind of gel in texture. This one is actually a cream, which I thought might prevent it from drying out my skin too much. It helps restore skin's protective barrier, again, helps reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, helps restore radiant skin with exclusive encapsulated retinol and ceramide complex. Again, ceramides. There we go with the ceramides again. Really, really good for your skin. And it does have retinol in it, which made me nervous at first. You know, retinol is basically an over-the-counter version of Retin-A, which was the same ingredient that made my skin do the tomato face thing. So I was a little bit nervous to use this at first. I don't use it every day because I found if I used it like every single night, it could make my skin a little bit irritated, but it does help. I do have some expression lines right around here because I do talk a lot and I smile a lot. And that has helped to kind of diminish those a little bit. I have a couple of lines on my forehead. Those have sort of dulled down a little, and it provides retinol or Retin-A or a retin ingredient without necessarily being as strong as the prescription strength kind. So I'm still getting all the benefits of Retin-A, but without the tomato face. Of course, with over-the-counter retinoids, you're not going to experience as dramatic results as quickly, but if you have skin that is sensitive like mine, you may want to go with an over-the-counter retinol because the tretinoin, like Retin-A stuff, is just gonna kill your skin. You're not gonna wanna keep at it. And the key to a retinoid is to keep using it religiously. So eventually I wanna work up to using this every single day. And finally, at night, I will use one of 2 nighttime moisturizers, depending on how my skin is feeling that day. Because sometimes my skin's a little more on the dry side, sometimes it's a little more on the oily side, and I tend to kind of gauge that before I decide which moisturizer I'm going to use, because sometimes you don't need like a ton of really heavy moisture in your skin, and that can actually make your skin a little more oily. But at the same time, I still like to have that intense moisture around when I do need it if my skin is irritated or particularly dry. So for my lightweight nighttime moisturizer, God, this makes me sound so high maintenance, but I use the CeraVe moisturizing lotion for normal to dry skin, and this is in the blue bottle. So this is not the daytime moisturizer, it's not the PM version of this one, it's just your standard face moisturizer. It is moisturizing lotion, fragrance-free, lightweight, non-irritating with ceramides and hyaluronic acid. This can be used both on the face and on the body, so I guess that's why it's in such a big bottle. It's got glycerin in it, it's got ceramides in it, non-comedogenic and non-irritating, so again, if you're acne prone, you can use this on your face and body and it is not going to break you out. It's just a standard, it's mostly purified water and glycerin with some triglyceride complexes and stuff like that. It's a very standard moisturizer. I bought this when the Retin-A was making my skin super red and super awful, and I needed something to moisturize my skin with. It didn't work back then because this has a lot of glycerin in it, which is really bad when you're using benzoyl peroxide. But now that I kind of don't really use the benzoyl peroxide as often, I can use this again and it's not going to burn the shit out of my face. So I just started kind of using this. I used it again last night and I like how lightweight it is. It's not super dense, it's not super thick, so I can put it on and still feel like my skin is being moisturized and being taken care of without necessarily feeling like I'm slathering this thick cream all over my face. But I really need that super extra, like, moisturizer times a million. You guys have seen this in my skincare routines before and it still holds true. The Umbrialise Le Crème Concentré. There you go, that's what the bottle looks like. This is just the small tube that I traveled with. I do have a bigger tube upstairs and I use this all the time when I had really dry skin. And I attribute the fact that my skin managed to recover as quickly as it did to moisturizing with this stuff. I don't really do face masks a whole lot anymore, and when I do them, it's usually a sheet mask that I buy out in country or one that I would buy from Sephora from time to time, but it's tough for me to buy sheet masks at Sephora because they're like $6 to $8 a piece, sometimes even more expensive than that, and I don't need that when I can just go out in Japan and pay like $1 or less than $1 for a sheet mask that's essentially gonna do the same thing. So, acne update. Let's talk about how my acne is doing. Ever since I switched to this new birth control, I have had 0 cysts. 0! Nothing! I was just so excited. This birth control changed everything, you guys. It was the catalyst, because you can treat acne all you want, but at the end of the day, the acne is not going to go away until you address the source of the acne. Find the problem and fix it. And for me, that problem was birth control. My old birth control was making my life a living hell, and I didn't even realize it. It didn't even occur to me that it could have been the birth control, because birth control normally doesn't affect me like that. You know, I could take it for years with no issue, but for some reason, this one pill just, I had no idea at the time just how much it was messing my life up until I switched, and I was like, holy shit, why didn't I know this was the problem from the very beginning? Because I could have avoided getting all these scars that I have now. I still do get pimples, make no mistake. The acne has not completely left. I am still pimple prone, and I always will be. I just kind of extracted a little one right here. And I did get a few pimples on my chin, mostly from purging due to the retin-A and the benzoyl peroxide, but I will get I had a few cysts like hiding in here, and I will get surfactory pimples from time to time, especially if I'm doing my makeup a lot, because, you know, it'll clog my pores inevitably. But they're just that. They're surface pimples. They're teeny tiny little things. And, you know, they come to a head in about a day or a day and a half, a week at most. I did get one fairly large, somewhat cystic pimple. It wasn't as deep as my usual cystic ones used to be, but it was still pretty cystic, and it stayed there for maybe a week or a week and a half. But that is nothing compared to what I was dealing with in the past. The cysts I was dealing with way back in the day, I'll put my acne video up in the cards up here from when I first got diagnosed with cystic acne. They were awful. They would stay on my skin for weeks. Like, I'm talking months at a time. These things would just stay here and hurt and be super sore and super sensitive. And, you know, they never went away. And even when they healed, they left these huge dark marks behind, whether I popped them or not. So it was like, there's nothing I can do about it. But here is my skin now. You can see I still have a nice little area of scarring right here. I'll kind of give you a close-up panoramic view of my entire face, but this is my hot spot. This is where all of the cysts used to be. You can see the scars that they left behind. There are still cysts buried under the skin in some places, although I think I got rid of most of them. But those scars are still there, but they have faded very gradually over time, so I'm hoping they will continue to fade, although they will get red from time to time, which is a little bit odd. But I'll put a picture right over here of when my cystic acne was at its worst, and you can kind of see the difference. This is such an improvement from before, and the texture on this side is a lot smoother. There's no bumpiness, and these are actually faded to the point where I can cover them up with foundation, which I was never able to do before. Now I'll go to head on and kind of take a look at you. I've got some rosacea bumps right here, but those were not from acne. Those were from rosacea. I've got some redness around here, but that's always been there. The one thing that is kind of negative that has changed about my skin since this whole adventure started is the pores around my nose have gotten a little bit bigger than they used to be. Kind of bugs me, but it's nothing a pore smoothing primer can't fix when it comes to makeup, and they aren't so large that they're noticeable from far away. You only notice how big they are if I get way up in your grill right here, and they're just right there. You know, it's a pretty common problem for people to have. I'm not complaining. Now, before I started this whole acne adventure, back when I was on my old birth control, I had blackheads all over my nose. I had keloids all up here, which were little bumps, little hardened bumps that were like collections of dead skin cells. They weren't quite pimples, but they were just little hard sore bumps that would get infected now and again. Those are completely gone. The blackheads are almost completely gone. I attribute that to both the Retin-A and the BPO really, but those were the things that kind of helped to get rid of that. So Retin-A did do some good things for my skin. I just couldn't handle the side effects of it. It was pretty terrible. And then over here you can see I've got a few scars because my acne had started to spread from this hot spot over to here. Really kind of minimal scarring over here, just a little bit from the few cysts that I did have. But currently on my face, I'm happy to say I have 0 active zits right now, knock on wood, but I haven't had a major cystic episode in about a month or a month and a half, basically since I started this new birth control, and it has just changed my life. My blood pressure is back down, my mood has improved, my cycles are more regular. It's just everything has improved so much, and I attribute that to beyond kind of my birth control having been changed. My birth control wouldn't have changed if I hadn't advocated for myself. If I hadn't gone to that doctor, gone to different doctors and kept pushing. And that's what you have to do. If there's a medical problem that you have that is affecting your life, seek treatment and be annoying. Be aggressive. Don't let a doctor talk you down. Like, don't let a doctor undermine your problem. If they do that, find a different doctor and just really be your own advocate, because if it is affecting your life, then it is important and it is valid no matter what any doctors tell you. Find a doctor that will help you, because if I hadn't advocated for myself, I wouldn't be sitting here today pimple-free. Like, just focusing on getting rid of scars and stuff. That's about it. That's all I have to talk about for you guys today. I hope this helps some of you. And remember, if you are out there and you are struggling with cystic acne, know that you are not alone, that your problem is legitimate, that your concerns are valid, and that I stand with you, because I am still an acne-prone individual regardless of how many cysts are on my face. I still think you are beautiful, and I still think that you are worth being listened to. I hope this encourages you and helps you out. If it did help you out, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt. You know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. I put up new videos every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.